Doing the thing you love to do, your purpose is a primary theme of the show. So our guest as an engineer, mountain climber, songwriter, among other things, our guest came to the conclusion that if anyone was following their purpose, doing the thing they like to do, the world would be a happier, better place. They have a lot of experience with environmental testing as an engineer and correlating that to health symptoms people experience when they get sick. His data led him to understand the mind-body connection and why this is so important. Purpose, not just for mental, but also for physical health. We welcome Daniel to the journey.
Thanks, David. It's great to be here.
You're welcome. Now, obviously, I touched upon some of the things you do, and I've read your website, which I know you will promote at the end. But tell us your earliest memories that kick-started your journey, that sparked your journey.
Well, as most of us trying to go to life, figure out what to do, I played piano in church. Uh, Thought I might go into music. Didn't see, didn't have a vision for that, and I was really smart. So they suggested well, they didn't suggest engineering. I was taking calculus and stuff and doing really well. Smart guy. So I went into engineering, but being an engineer, I was working full time in a factory 40 hours a week and going to school 40 hours a week. And anyone who's been into college in general knows working's hard enough. Try it with differential equations and fluid dynamics and classes like that. And then working in a factory, the second shift. So I'd get off at 11 o'clock at night and go do homework till my head hit the desk. Um, and I did that for about 11 years. And the benefit of that, the reason was I love to climb mountains. And it's like I've got to have the resources to go climb mountains wherever I want. That's going to take some time and money. So I'm building a strategy as well as engineering, get a good job. And I played hooky for about a good 5 or 6 years on the engineering job. Literally, if you ever see the movie Office Space,
Yeah.
where the guy cops an attitude and he's just like, I don't care. And he'd show up when he wants and leave when he wants. And
Yeah.
I beat that guy by like 10 times over. uh, and subtly, like I didn't put on a show, is I would just disappear. And it was before the day of tracking you so much. So before we had pagers, not cell phones. And I set my boundaries. Like I would get a page and I'd be 6 hours on a drive, into the desert to climb some desert spire and go, I can't return this page. What if they want me to come back to the office? Like I'm not even supposed to. Yeah, and like you know, because that's acknowledging like you got the call, so just ignore it. And I got away with that for a long time, and then one day I thought I'd climbed everything, so I showed up to work. I mean, really showed up, like the guy in Office Space, maybe. I'm gonna actually, what do I do for work? And you know what? I didn't really find purpose in this. I mean, it doesn't matter I'm smart enough, doesn't matter I don't know what I'm going to do otherwise. When I really took a pause, a deep breath and just while I was at work I was in semiconductor building computer chips, by the way. I was like, I don't even own a computer. And I'm the computer god for this whole company practically. I could build you, chips and I don't even own one. What am I doing here? And so I went and gave my notice, and no one really believed me. And 2 weeks went by, and no one still believed me. So it was like Monday the next day, like, where are you? I'm like, I went down to personnel and gave my notice 2 weeks ago. I've been telling you they didn't know. What are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. So then I moved to a smaller town. And I got into construction by accident because my landlord thought I was handy and I didn't need anything to do. So he offered me a job. The next thing I knew, I had a full company doing construction and truck. And I will warn people. It's great when you try to reinvent yourself and you just go, this is not it. Like Brad Pitt. His story is he was in college last semester, I think, so close, and he got this epiphany, not for me, and he literally drove to LA, wore a chicken suit, and on the street and did whatever he could to get his first acting part. And he wasn't very good when he started out. He needed coaching. Um, you do that, it's really awesome. I think that's what the world needs. But then you only have, unless you're Brad Pitt and you know you want to be an actor. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Here's my word of caution. You're gonna feel wonderful for a while, like enlightened. In that moment, think about what you really want to do. Because if you don't, you're gonna fall into what I did next, which was for the next long time. I got sick from construction, and then being an engineer, I got into testing environmental stuff. Like, okay, what's really bad for people? People say mold's bad for you, electromagnetic fields. I spent tens of thousands of my own dollars actually testing what really makes people sick. And then a few years ago, I finally left that after I realized, it doesn't matter how clean I make your house. Yeah, the mold's not bad. The cell phone tower near your house isn't bad, but you're not doing what you want to do. And and then I ask them what they want to do, and there's always an excuse. I've got this nice job, or I got this house, or this or that, and they always start with the excuse. I'm like, that's not what I asked you. I was like, what do you really want to do? So another one for me was songwriting. Well, back to the piano in church, I kind of gave that up for a little while. So I'm like, I'm gonna come back to that. And and I really attack things. So if I'm gonna do it, I do it right. Part of the reason wasn't successful originally when I was young is I didn't have the right mentor teacher. So now I've got resources. So I would go out to LA, find the best songwriters who, before they became famous, I could see them coming up and they were still working out of their home. And I'm like, hey, can I come over and you can teach me how to write a song? They're like, oh, we don't want our name on it. I'm like, I don't want your name. I don't want your name on it either. I just want to know the formula. And yeah, and then the engineer in me kind of it sits in my brain for a while until it really clicks. But when you find an expert who can really teach it well, and then it clicks, it's like, oh, that's easy. I could teach anyone to write. I actually enjoy writing songs with people who have never written a song,
Mm.
like just sitting down in a restaurant. Like we could write one right now. Yeah. And I follow that through. So some of my friends and colleagues, they've actually a lot of them, especially on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you can only be one person.
Mm.
Are you an engineer
Yeah.
or yeah? And it's ironic because on LinkedIn you'll also see a post about Leonardo da Vinci. Like if he was alive, how impressive his resume would look.
It'd be
Like,
bigger than anyone else's.
what's that, David?
It'd be bigger than anyone else's resume because, the average resume is like 2 pages. His would be like,
We'll see. Actually, the problem with Da Vinci's resume, he wouldn't get a job if he put down he was a painter as 50% of his resume, along with 50% engineering and the 50% like I'm a drawer, designer. People today can't they want to see with one hat. So these people who were critical of me, and I thought about it, I'm like, you have a good point. Their point was you'll be better at something if you spend most of your time on it. So on LinkedIn, they're going to pick somebody or be more attracted to someone who's got 10 different jobs as a programmer versus a Da Vinci with 5 programming jobs and 5 artist jobs, 5 jobs drawing stuff and painting, right? Because
mm,
on paper, it looks like the other guy's got 10 jobs of experience. You only have 5 and you don't know what you want to do, be a painter. So I thought about that. I'm like, maybe I am wasting my time with the music, even though I've been to Nashville and I've written good songs and recorded and so forth. It's a really tough business. Do you want to keep doing that? Um, it's taking away time from my other activities, my other jobs and stuff, right? It's time and money. And then I thought about what if Da Vinci had that attitude? What if as the engineer, which is his day job more, he was under hire with the government and the royalties at the time, What if he's was like, you know what? I don't have time for painting. This isn't commissioned. No one wanted me to do this. I'm wasting my time. And he never painted the Mona Lisa. Or did any other kind of drawing or inventions or any innovations, because he's got tons of drawings, like 100 different inventions that he couldn't actually build at the time. But if he's like, you know what? no, nobody can build these and nobody's going to buy them. What if I just don't bother? So that's what turned me back around to no, it's a lot of work, mind you, David. I mean, I practiced every day for 30 minutes on my music and then like a rock climber, I work out for another half hour and it's painful. I had a friend whose studio, he records some of my stuff in his studio and he's like, he couldn't understand it when I told him, he's like, don't you like to practice the guitar? I'm like, who likes to practice? He's like, but you like to play. Yeah, right. I'm like, you don't understand, man. It's practice. Right? He's like, he didn't get it. Um, it's all work, but I feel called to do it. And I feel if I didn't do it, then I would still be depressed because I was depressed. It's like you feel like you're stuck in this engineering job. You're stuck in, doing this or that or in construction. And you think it's a pipe dream to do something else. I tell you, my adventures have been cool though. So for the Nashville thing, I never gave up. This last spring, I'd never really, well, I've always had this like idea, I've got to go to Nashville and live there. So, the idea you got to go to LA if you're an actor. You can't just, if you're really going to do it. So I'm renting a place and, oh, I don't care. I'm just going to go to Nashville. The only way to do it, you have to just get in the car. Fortunately, I have a truck and drive. A
Yeah.
truck I can sleep in. There's no other way. People are like, you're gonna drive to Nashville? It's like 20 hours. I'm like, I'm gonna have a place I'm gonna have my car. I'm gonna have a place to sleep. I don't know what I'm gonna do when I get there. Yeah. And then I blocked off 1 month because I just thought about it, and 2 weeks is too short. I mean, it's Nashville, right? And even if you're a superstar and you hear the stories, a month's cutting it close. And I'm like, I'm gonna stay there for a month, no matter what. And I don't know what I'm gonna do when I get there. I actually ended up renting a place eventually there, um, living in two places. Even though I really, how am I pay for the, how's this gonna work out? The first thing I did when I got there, so strategy is Nashville has a Nashville Songwriters Association. You pay your dues. I paid them before I got in the car. So when I got there, it was the first place that I went. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I'm here to meet people. I go in, and there's a little lounge area for if you're a member, you can hang out. And while you're waiting to write a song with people, they have rooms where you meet and you can hook up with another member to write a song, so you don't have to meet at people's houses. They have pianos and instruments and stuff there. You can so they've got like a couple different rooms you can sign up for. So I just go in the lobby and hang out, and there's the very first guy I met. Well, before I really knew who he was, he's wearing a baseball cap and the sweatshirt. He just looks like he's like nobody. And he's talking to this really beautiful young woman who had just been a finalist in Star Search or The Voice or one of those things. And I'm just kind of I'm kind of like she looks great. She sings great. I don't know who this guy is. So he asked her to play a song. He plays her one, and then he looks at me and he's kind of like, I don't know if you belong here. You're kind of rocker, dude. You got an edge to you. He's like, you know what? Give me he's testing you out to see how good a songwriter you are. He's like, tell me a title of one of your songs. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna play it. And I got what he was really after. A good song has a great title. So I told him the title, and he's like, that's the best thing I've ever heard. And he's like, hey, you ever heard a title? That's the best thing I heard. And then I'm also like, before I said it, by the way, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want to say this because it is a good title. And the song's already written. And, you worry about people copying stuff. Anywho, he turned out to be like one of the directors, like big shots. I mean, he was a spokesperson for the governor for a while. Really, uh, a big, uh, a big resource in Nashville music. So that was the first person I met. Just getting in the truck and going, I got to drive. And that's my advice to people on your journey. You just got to start. Just, you'll never have it out on the paper on on paper. And the reason with on paper is like climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
If you're gonna, yeah, if you're gonna climb a mountain everyone's climbed before, which is kind of boring, but then you can go on Facebook and the internet and plan it day by day, hour by hour. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine, but that's a vacation. That's not your journey in life. Your journey in life, back to my Nashville adventure, I'm just going to get a car and drive. Well, what if I got there and someone offered me a room to rent, an opportunity to record something? You don't know that until you start. So you kind of got to start, is what I'm saying. And you can't have all the dots on the map figured out. You don't want to. That's no journey, right, David? That's no
Mm.
fun.
It's true. It's like I know from my perspective, from my, you on a freeway or motorway or, interstate. Yes, it's easy to follow that and easily say go here, but you've got to follow the diversions. You've got to follow the other side turns, if you want to call it that way.
Yeah,
It's
you
not,
might
it's
want
not,
to.
it's not a smooth, straightforward on those roads because you have to encounter other things to get there. And that's how
Yeah,
I experienced my journey because that's how it is. It's never plain smooth, easy. And
right.
and you've climbed mountains. I've climbed a mountain as well. And trust me, I liked it, but at the same time, it's nerve-wracking because you never know how you're going to encounter that mountain until you climb it.
Yeah, that's some people think I like the adrenaline rush or I get scared. They asked me like one time, what happens when you get really scared and terrified? I'm like, I come down. Like, you do? I'm like, yeah, if you're that much out of control, you come down. It's not safe. They didn't get it. Wasn't about the adrenaline junkie. It was I just like the adventure, and I'm really careful and methodical and sometimes slow. But when I get the green light, when I feel when sometimes when things seem to be really dangerous, theoretically dangerous, like this just seems dangerous, but I get this green intuition. I know because I've also got the intuition that says, nope, doesn't matter how easy it looks and how simple. Nope, nope, nope. And I'll turn around, even though
Mm.
there's no logical reason for turning around. So when I get the green light, no matter how dangerous things look, I'm like, we're good. We're going for it. It's
And
good.
you lift your hand and say, "Yes, I can." Kind of success in your own tone.
Yeah, and getting to the top actually is kind of anticlimactic. There's a moment, of course, where it feels great because you're like, oh, we're done. Safety, done. Yeah. But it's not the like some people again who just want to climb everything that's been climbed or go everywhere that do something else that's already been done. Like playing a song. Say a lot of people on their guitars I that I meet, I'm like, great, you're learning the guitar. What song are you gonna play? And they just want to learn chords first. Or instead of writing a song, they're gonna learn somebody else's song.
Mm.
I'm like, you're missing the real joy of this creativity, like what you can do, nobody else can do. I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm doing yet. I'm like, that's exactly why you can create something nobody else has created or done. As soon as you keep trying to learn what someone else has done, just because you're scared to do your own thing, you're never going to get anywhere, and you're robbing the rest of us of seeing and experiencing your originality. Your
Yeah.
what, and of course, most of them don't take me up on that because they're still they don't. Well, I don't know how to start. I'm like, um, yeah, when I was learning from before I learned guitar, I was bass player, and I would carry around a bass and a guitar, and I'd have it opened. Do you know what open tuning is, David?
I've heard of it.
So it's a way that you tune all the strings, so you don't actually have to finger anything with your fingers. You can just strum and move one finger up and down the guitar, and it
Yeah,
makes a chord.
I have seen it, so I have seen that method in.
And it makes it easier to play something. A friend of mine told me to tune it that way. So we're at this bed and breakfast, me and my girlfriend, and we look really cool with this guitar and the bass. And they're gonna play something. I'm like, I don't know how to play anything. I'm like, and they go, why do you have that thing? So the open tuning, we pulled it off. Nobody knew. I mean, what's worse that can happen? People believe in you if you believe in yourself.
Yeah, and that is true because, like you said about certain things, originality is a good thing. Yes, you can get inspired by certain, in this case, musicians, but it's always coming from the art when you do play yourself because it, like you said, originality. And I like that because that is something that's unique to you. It's unique
Hmm.
to someone listening because they're all like, that's what I think is the wow. Because he's like, wow. And you turn and you listen, or if you see something being done, you're looking and saying, wow, it's
Yeah,
impressed. But if you're copying something else, it's like, I've heard that before. Even if you make your own take on it, it's still not the same because you're taking that person's music and making it your own, but it's not your own
yeah,
because you're just expanding on what's already done.
yeah. The less you know, the better. It reminds me of the story of this farmer who won this long distance marathon one time, like it was a couple day, 100-mile run. And but he couldn't really run, but he didn't understand the rules, or he didn't, there were no rules, but most people would at nighttime take a couple hour nap, sleep, because it was a couple day race. And he being the farmer who's used to the weather's bad, I got to stay in the pasture, I don't, take care of the cows, whatever, a couple days at a time, no sleep. Um, he just kept going. He walked. So he didn't run, he walked, but he never stopped. And he won the race. And like, well, what's your strategy? Like, I just kept going. And we're like, well, how did he do that? Look, he didn't know that you're supposed to, but there's no rules. Just by supposed to, most people do this. Most people follow that strategy. He didn't know the formula strategy, so he just did whatever he thought he should do, and he won the race that way. Less you know, the better sometimes.
And that's how it is when you do, when I've done podcasts, I read the script, but I don't tend to always read a script beforehand. Yes, I read it on a day when I introduce a guest, but ultimately, I like to hear how journeys are told to me because I feel like it's not about me unless I can relate to it.
Hmm.
And when I allowed you to talk, it's just you telling me, yes, I can give the brief outline so people can say who's they were talking to.
Yeah.
But
So
it's
the
but it's you talking to me now. Now I haven't got any notes. I don't even look at the script now. I'm just listening.
it's just like talking to if we were at the cafe and I just
Correct.
met you.
And that's what I learnt when I was on the radio. That's what I was taught on the radio. It's like, imagine you're at a cafe, you're talking to someone as if you know them personally, and
Hmm.
it's a more relaxed, comfortable
Yeah.
feel. Like I said, I can easily rip up on to say I don't want this now. But at the same time, it's there if I need it.
Yeah.
But I
So
like making it unique.
so what things that makes me happy, brings me joy, because um I think if everyone was doing something they like to do, the world would be a better place. I like encouraging people to do what they're not doing. Like, you go play the guitar, you're gonna go climb a mountain. Um, for example, let's take climbing a mountain. I met somebody, well, he's a client of mine. He's ill, environmentally ill of some kind, thinks he has mold. It's not the excuse. He's working on his apartment with his landlord, trying to figure out what he's going to do. And I ask him, "What do you really want to do?" He's like, "I want to go climb this mountain." Well, David, when he said climb, it was really a hike, like a couple mile hike. And it turned out this mountain was in his city, like 20-minute, half-hour drive away. And because he's been talking about it and talking, I'm like, as if it was in Africa or someplace. And right, I'm like, what's stopping you? I asked him. He's like, I can't remember his excuse. And I'm like, do you mean to tell me you've never, I don't care what you got going on in your life, you've never just driven over there, gotten out of the car and looked at the trailhead so you know where it is or know what to expect? Because he was stuck. He really is as is this doesn't seem possible to believe. Like, it's right a half hour away. It's his dream to climb. He hasn't done it. What's stopping you? He came up with an excuse of why he couldn't drive there. I was like, I'm not buying it. you, I'm not buying it. You either don't want to climb it or you really need to need a coach or somebody to a friend to go. I'm driving you to the trailhead today. uh, and a lot of people get stuck. They just can't seem to get in the car, you know? And anywho, so it's kind of one of my passions, like another person I met in a cafe, the bistro at the coffee shop. It's dead season and no one's there, so I can talk to her. And I go, and she's reading a self-help book too. That's what striked up the conversation. Yeah. She's reading a self-help book. So I'm like, what's going on? Good book. I've read that book actually. And I'm like, what do you want to do with the self-help? What do you need help with? And she said, well, I'd like to travel. So, okay, simple question. What's stopping you? You know what her response was, David?
No.
I don't have enough money. So you know what I asked her next? You're a radio host. What if someone says, I don't have enough money to travel? I said, well, where do you want to go? She didn't know. She assumed she would just not have enough, period, no matter what. She wasn't broke. She wasn't in debt. She just didn't know where she wanted to go, but she'd already assumed it'd be too expensive. So I go, well, give me three places. Well, one of them was Mexico, which is only a couple hours away from here. And you can drive or fly. It's cheap. You can find, and it actually was off season at the cafe. So they really were being kind to her, not laying her off. So it was no problem for her to leave. She just got stuck on, oh, I don't have the money. As if she was broke. I'm like, you don't even know how much money you need. Where are you going? So kind of the engineer in me likes to break it down, help people. Okay, let's before you come up with an excuse why you can't, what actually do you want to do? Yeah, to which some people say they you ask them what do they want to do? So like, what's my excuse here? Okay, what do you want? I want to live the life I truly I want to live a life that I love to live. Like you know the expression, live a life I love to live.
Yeah.
And okay, what's stopping you? Again, first thing would be money, right, or something. You don't even know what that life looks like. So it's coming up with what you really want to do. For me, the songwriting was pretty easy. The music, the engineering, because I'm smart. The rock climbing, I like to climb. And I think the world just be a better place if everyone just started. I think everyone has something special inside them. No one else can do. So um, I'm still climbing in terms of my journey. I'm waiting for. Right now, it's the winter time, so it's like 10 degrees out. And I get cold. I'm looking at pictures when I was younger. I used to solo mountains in the winter without a sleeping bag by myself. But these days, even with my down jacket, it could be 40 degrees outside before I'm comfortable. So,
So going into what you do now, and you can talk about your book and obviously how people can contact you. Tell us about your book and how people can get hold of it.
so my book is Because You Can, How to Succeed Under Difficult Circumstances. But it could really be titled How to Do Anything You Want to Do. And it's based on mountain climbing stories. Like it give you a simple, like what's stopping you, what's the step to get started, the strategy, and then I present a story, like a short story of how I applied that in my climbing. So I do coaching, life coaching. I really don't like that term, coaching, mentoring, but that's what people call it, life coaching, to help people get unstuck and get them going. And then if they're on their way to Nashville in their car and go, Dan, I'm here. Now what? Well, don't panic. Let me walk you through what to do next. Some people are more independent and resilient than others, but we all need help. So that's one thing I do. And then I speak too. The speaking thing is a little different because it's almost like a performance. And kind of like the music, I really enjoy more if we're working the one-on-one people where they can give me feedback. and I can solve problems for him. It's like problem solving engineering. Engineering. Quick story from my book, one of the most popular ones. So, Mount Rainier. Do you know Mount Rainier, David? It's in the United States. It's the tallest mountain in the United States, Mount Rainier.
I've seen pictures. I know I've seen pictures, so I can
It's
relate to that.
it's a really popular place for people to do their first big climb. So my friend Evan, who I had only taken on one small climb before, I asked him to go with me and climb the hardest route on that mountain. He's only climbed once before. And it was a 3-day climb, and there was a huge storm, and we couldn't see anything. And we're at the top and sleeping on the second night and trying to figure out where we're at. And he's about to break out his GPS. I'd go, do not put that thing away. You are not using that technology. You need to learn to use your intuition, your gut feeling. So we put it away. The next day, when we're descending, I got us lost. And by lost, I mean that's not a good thing coming down the mountain on Mount Rainier. There are steep hanging glaciers, death, like everything's loose, and really glaciers everywhere. And I sat down, like, you know what? I went the wrong way. And I'm like, you're not using your GPS. He got out the map and with his instincts figured out where we were and where we should go. He led the way, got us down through the storm safely using his intuition. And that really helped him later in life. He's a fireman, EMT, which I knew he had that instinct in him. But I just felt that if you start relying on your technology, you're robbing yourself of using your mind and that gift of the intuition. So that's the chapter in the book on, okay, how am I going to get unstuck, do what I want to do using intuition? I'll give you some tips, and then that's my story on that. True
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
Okay. And I assume this book is on Amazon and most bookstores.
Yeah, you can get books everywhere, anywhere, but a lot of people use Amazon.
Okay, I'll use the Amazon as a
Hmm.
generic one.
Yeah.
And obviously, people would want to get in contact with you. Is it possible that you can share your website?
Website's danielstih.com. danielstih.com.
Okay, and the last ultimate question. Words of inspiration to others is always good. What would you say to anyone, in this case, aspiring on their journey to go to better things? What would you say to them?
First, make sure it's what you want. See, the reason I can climb mountains so well is because I really, really want to. If you only want to do something for the money, it's not going to work. And you know what you want to do. If you just don't know how to do it, I can help you or find somebody to help you. Don't waste your time doing something you don't really want to do. Life is short. Do the thing you want to do. And if you're not sure how to get started, that's where you need to spend your time. Or just start. Do something, anything. Start.
I agree. Daniel, thank you for sharing your journey with us today. And the journey may be the start for some, it may be continuing, but I know your journey is continuing in a strong form, and I applaud you for that and keep up the good work.
I'll give you one quick, what would it be? Donovan Leitch, they call me Mellow Yellow. Uh, he from the 60s with the Beatles time. He said to me, because I hung out with him, he mentored me with guitar, to seek out the best. He said, Dan, why would you wait for it? Like wait for whatever you're trying, whatever it is you're wanting, when you can enjoy the space to get there, meaning enjoy the journey, because maybe he said kind of like you're at the top of the mountain when you get there. Maybe when you get there, it's boring. Those are his words.
Very true.
Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks, David.
And now, a message from Amy. Amy, it's over to you.
Hello, I am Amy Harrison. I'm the author of the book Feline Warrior Part 1 and Part 2, a fictional story that is written in a poetic format that is based on real-life events that could happen to anyone and intended only for relatable purposes. This story claws into Catgirl's past abuse. Catgirl is human and part feline, but truly a warrior who can handle anything because she is strong and fierce. She has been taken advantage of for far too long. Join her on her journey as she reaches freedom. Here are some poems from Feline Warrior. Tears flow. I no longer know what to do. I am no longer who I once was, and it is because I made a choice to use my voice, and that is okay, because what I had to say was true, unlike me and you. Now I see. I am free. I am me. I am Catgirl. Ultimately, be you. Always stay true. Do what you want to do, because every day is made new. If you want to read more, visit the link in the description. Meow at you later. The Journey podcast explores stories of personal growth, challenges, and life-changing moments. Each episode dives into unique experiences, offering insights and inspiration for listeners navigating their own paths. I believe everyone has a story worth sharing. If you'd like to share your journey with David and others, email your story to wisewords1983@reborn.com, and it may be featured in a future episode.